morning. It's a gorgeous day, and my name is Carol Frausto, and I'm here to welcome you to the first annual Cupertino Heritage Parade. For the next hour, we'll be taking a look at this very special event. This is an event that is bringing out both young and old people. They're coming out to celebrate the history and pride of this community. It was about a little over a year ago that Cupertinians joined together in procession to commemorate the bicentennial of the American Constitution. This was a really successful parade, and the city organizers decided just to make it an annual celebration. But this time they weren't celebrating the Constitution, they were celebrating the heritage of Cupertino. When we return, we'll talk with Parks and Recreation Director Steve Dowling. He'll tell us a little bit more about the history of today's event. And then we'll have the beginning of the parade. So please stay tuned.
Clint Eastwood is a little upset.
It seems some misguided individuals out there are abusing our public lands. They're vandalizing our public parks and playgrounds, and they're overrunning our wild areas. Real nice guys. Some clowns are even stealing artifacts from historic sites. Now, when I hear about things like that, it really bothers me. I find it unacceptable, and I know you do too, because these lands are ours, yours and mine. Now, I know what you're thinking. What can I do? Well, you can either sit there and do nothing, or you can start by getting some information on how you can help stop land abuse. As I see it, these people who are abusing our public lands can either clean up their act or get out of town.
Bad guys abuse public land. Good guys save it. If you want to help, write Take Pride in America, Post Office Box 1339, Jessup, Maryland 20794.
Welcome back to Channel 53's coverage of the first annual Cupertino Heritage Parade. While today's parade is really being celebrated as a first annual event, it is really by no means the first such activity of its kind within this community. Cupertino celebrated its Pioneers' Days in the late 60s and 70s with an annual fall parade. Last year we had the Bicentennial Parade, and as we've already seen, it was one of the most successful community events ever held in this city. The city's Parks and Recreation Director, Steve Dowling, has been working most of this month preparing and organizing for today's Heritage Parade. We had a chance to talk to Steve earlier this week regarding the parade and just how the idea for this event evolved.
Cupertino's Heritage Parade has its roots in last year's Bicentennial Parade. The recommendation from the parade committee last year was that the parade should be an annual event, regardless of what's happening with the Bicentennial celebration. So with that, plus a heritage in the former Pioneer Day Parade, which occurred in the late 60s and 70s here in Cupertino, City Council authorized staff to put together an annual parade. Now, originally we wanted this parade to occur in the spring. The problem with the springtime is that you don't have the availability of high school bands, and what's a parade without bands? So although we are concerned about two parades in the fall in Cupertino, the other being Tournament of Bands, we thought that if it's going to take bands to have a parade, we'll have the Heritage Parade in the fall as well. Formerly, the Pioneer Day Parade was also in the fall, so there's some tradition there.
We'll be talking with Steve again a little later in today's show, but right now, let's take a look at some of today's parade entries.
Starting off our list of parade entries here, we have the 114th Civil Air Patrol Color Guard, followed by the United States Marine Drum and Bugle Corps, Grand Marshal Robert W. Quinlan, who's our city manager, then State Senator Becky Morgan from the 11th District, State Assemblyman Charles Quackenbush from the 25th District, County Supervisor Diane McKenna, 5th District, the Mayor of Cupertino, John Gatto, our Mayor Pro Tem, which is John Plungy Jr., City Council Member Barbara Rogers, and City Council Member Phil Johnson, followed by Reed Sparks, who was the mayor in 86, 81, and 74, Don Froelich, past mayor, and Nick Glazaneo, who was mayor in 1961. We have the City of Cupertino float, which is entitled Then, Now, and Beyond, the Cupertino High School flags with their drill team and their band, the Cupertino Bicentennial Committee, the Cupertino Santa Clara Republican Women Federated, Bob Sayich, who will be driving a 1940 Ford, the Palo Alto Elks Clowns, Cupertino Federated Women's Club, the float of the Union Church of Cupertino, Cogswell Polytechnical College with their Chrome Widget 1, the Cupertino Historical Society and their antique fire truck, Deanne's Alliance with their float entitled The Flag, Our Heritage, League of Women Voters of Cupertino Sunnyvale with their Volkswagen, followed by the Fremont Union High School District Trustee. We'll have the Monte Vista High School flag team with their drill team and their band, the Brownie Troop number 487, the East-West Kung Fu Lion Dance Karate team, the Cupertino Tennis Club, Cupertino Chamber of Commerce will have an entry, Cupertino Union School District. The Cupertino Union School District will also be represented with their distinguished schools and junior high school. We'll have the Cupertino Judo Club, the Cupertino Yes on K Committee float, the Girl Scouts International Girl Scout Troop number 536, Cupertino Rotary representing the Oktoberfest, Nancy Newton, who's a candidate in the Fremont Union High School District, Saratoga Toastmasters, join Toastmasters float, the Ford Model A pickup trucks, the United States Air Force Recruiting Service with their F16 Mini Jet, Cupertino Community Services will have a float, followed by the Lynbrook High School Valkyries with their school band, and the AYSO Region 35 Soccer League. They'll have a Santa Clara County Central Fire District with their 100-foot La France ladder truck. We'll have Cupertino Circle of King's Daughters, Tops number CA 850, AAA Limousines, Cupertino Towing, the Regnart Riders from the Brookside Stables of Cupertino, and last but not least, the Cupertino Street Sweeper. Okay, before the parade gets down here to the reviewing area, I want to give you a brief background on the direction that the parade will be taking. They're going to be starting out at Cupertino High School, coming up Finch Avenue, where they'll be going west onto Stevens Creek, and that'll be a left turn onto Stevens Creek. They'll pass by Wolf Road, and then they'll pass by our announcing area that is located right here in the Orchard Valley Shopping Center. They'll keep going past Blaney Avenue, where they'll make a left onto Torrey. And they'll go down Torrey Avenue until they get to Rodriguez, and then finally they'll end up right there in front of Cupertino City Hall.
Here we have the motorcycle procession, and behind them is the Air Force Auxiliary Color Guard, and they're being led by Dennis Carmichael, who is Now, this organization is based out at Moffett Field, and what a beautiful way to start our parade. They're with the 114th Civil Air Patrol Unit Color Guard. You see the flags, police going by in front now.
Following the color guard, we have the United States Marine Drum and Bugle Corps.
Right behind that, we have the United States Marine Drum and Bugle Corps. They're from 29 Palms, California, and they're being led right now by Gunnery Sergeant Brown. They arrived in town on Friday night for a barbecue and a performance at Memorial Park. And that's the United States Marine Drum and Bugle Corps from 29 Palms, California. They're guests of Cupertino Inn. They've been staying there Friday and Saturday nights. They're having their meals courtesy of McDonald's and Peppermill. Outstanding performance. Wonderful way to start the parade. The crowd is giving them a wonderful reception. There you can see a full shot of the United States Marine Drum and Bugle Corps. They're right now in front of the reviewing stand. Did a wonderful performance. You can see coming up shortly, right behind the Drum and Bugle Corps, will be the car carrying the Grand Marshal. And the Grand Marshal is Robert Quinlan. This is a real true celebration of the heritage of Cupertino to have the city manager as the Grand Marshal for this first annual Cupertino Heritage Day Parade. Mr. Quinlan has been the Cupertino city manager for the last 17 years. You can see the Drum and Bugle Corps. There we see Mr. Quinlan in a vintage T-Bird. We're sorry that in December we'll be losing Mr. Quinlan. There's our Grand Marshal, Robert Quinlan, Cupertino City Manager.
Association of 3 different cities, California, Wisconsin, and Oklahoma. It's really a tribute to his quality as the city manager. Next, I'd like to introduce this particular person, Becky Morgan, State Senator of the 12th District. Becky's up for re-election, and I've been waiting for 8 years to do something like this. You see, folks, Becky Morgan beat me when we ran against each other for the Board of Supervisors in 1980. And I've been waiting to get a microphone where she can speak back to tell you that she has been an outstanding
Okay, coming up behind Mr. Quinlan, we have State Senator Rebecca Morgan. She's a state senator for the 11th District, and she's with her husband, Jim. They're also in a vintage T-Bird. Behind them, we have our state assemblyman, who's Chuck Quackenbush. He's with his wife, Chris, and their daughter, Carrie. Chuck is assemblyman for the 22nd District, and
let's give a great big hand to our county supervisor, Diane McKenna, for the 5th Supervisorial District.
Miss Patriotic, Betsy Ross herself.
Let's pledge allegiance to Diane McKenna.
Okay, coming up next, after the Quackenbushes, we have County Supervisor Diane McKenna with her family.
We have our mayor disguised as a dignitary.
No, I'm sorry, she's not with her family, but there's Diane McKenna. She's from the District 5, which makes up Cupertino, Saratoga, Montecito, Mountain View, and Los Altos, part of Sunnyvale.
Wasu, I can't resist.
Okay, another vintage T-Bird. This time it's carrying John Gatto, who's our 1988 mayor. He's a two-time mayor, also in a T-Bird.
That's an inside joke.
When we come back, we'll be joined by a former Cupertino High School principal. His name is Jorge Fernandez. He played a significant role in bringing the original Pioneer Days parade to Cupertino in the 60s. So please stay tuned.
McGruff here. I want you to learn a song that tells people to say no to drugs. Users are losers and losers are users. So don't use drugs, don't use drugs. Winners don't use and users don't win. So don't use drugs, don't use drugs. If you know a user even part of the time, tell them to quit, take a bite out of crime. Users are losers and losers are users. So don't use drugs, don't use drugs. Okay, everybody, if you know a user even part of the time, tell them to quit, take a bite out of crime. Users are losers and losers are users. So don't use drugs, don't use drugs. Nice going. Now teach it to your mom and dad and brothers and sisters and friends to help take a bite out of crime. Don't use drugs.
While climbing, secure figure 8 knot to harness.
Motivation is the key to fighting illiteracy.
Take it to the top!
When taking pictures in low light, always use high-speed film.
All right, guys, come on!
In scouting, what you read is what you do.
Hi, I'd like to welcome my guest. His name is Jorge Fernandez, and he's a former principal of Cupertino High School. Jorge was very instrumental in the Pioneer Days Parade, which started in 1958, and we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What a beautiful day for a parade.
Isn't it?
Isn't that great?
Glad you could join me.
Real pleasure. Well, this parade, Pioneer Day Parade, started in 1958, a combination of Cupertino High School and the Chamber of Commerce. We attempted to bring the families out in one big single event to really talk about our community. And Cupertino High School then put on the parade. The Chamber of Commerce sponsored it financially. It was a complete family day with pancake breakfast in the morning, then the parade. And the parade from 1958 to 1970, we had as high as 9,000 people marching in the parade. Every horse in the county was there, believe me. And then we went to the parade. After the parade, went to a carnival at Cupertino High School. Had a big carnival, all the little kids having a lot of fun, and the adults. And then after the carnival, we had a big spaghetti feast. So we tied the whole community in one big event. And I'm happy to see that you're back in the parade route. It's been gone for some time. And I think thanks to the effort of Barbara Coppola and a lot of the people at the City Council, I hope you continue this event. And if you need help, I've been there for 20 years.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're
Have
welcome.
a nice day. On with the parade.
Yes, let's go back now on to the parade.
Okay, there we see a shot of John Plungy Jr. He's a current council member. He was last mayor in 1983. He's currently the mayor pro tem. He's a history teacher at Homestead High School. John's also riding in a vintage T-Bird.
That was not intentional by any means. And here we have...
There we have Barbara Rogers. She's also a current councilwoman for Cupertino. She's been the mayor of Cupertino twice, and she was re-elected last year. She's in a vintage T-Bird.
Nick Lazenale, mayor 1961.
Here we have Phil Johnson. He was mayor in 1984. Phil has been on the council since November of 1980, and he's also riding in a vintage T-Bird.
City of Cupertino. The theme is the past, present, and the future.
Okay, here we have Reed Sparks, who is past mayor in 86, 81, and 74. Youngest mayor in Cupertino history.
History on the back of that truck. Check that out, folks.
Also in that car that we just see leaving there is Nick Lazaneo, who was mayor in 1961.
Look at this, what a crew!
Here we go. We've got the city of Cupertino with their float, Then, Now, and Beyond. This is a concept that was put together by Julia Lamy, who is from Parks and Recreation. The truck there that you see, it represents the agricultural heritage of Cupertino.
And here comes the Cupertino High
The next
School
truck you
band.
see
So,
represents
four of our 5 high
the
school
future of
bands in this
Cupertino.
parade.
It has a bigger than life-size computer, a robot, silicon chip, and that's a new city flatbed.
Bands in a few weeks. Again, they'll all be performing after the parade, so please join us there.
Oh, and here, look at the candy. They're throwing out Jolly Rancher candy. Okay, here we have the beginning of the Cupertino High School flags team, their drill team, and the band. Cupertino High School Band has made several appearances throughout the Bay Area at parades, football games, and various community events. The band also performed in the Rose Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, and the Lions International Parade in Hawaii. They also performed at the Super Bowl pregame in 1985. This year, the band will host the 18th annual Tournament of Bands. It'll be held on Saturday, October 8th.
The Lions International Parade in Hawaii.
It's 110 members in this band, and it's one of 3 high school bands that'll be participating in today's parade.
Bands to be held on Saturday, October 8th.
There you can see a shot of the drill team.
The competition begins at 6:30 p.m. And again, this parade will come along Stevens Creek Boulevard.
They're coming right in front of the reviewing stand now. This is Cupertino High School band with their flag team and their drill team. Here we have a wide shot. You can see the vast amount of people that are in this band. Like I said, there's 110 members. Jorge Fernandez, who I interviewed, is the former principal from Cupertino High School. Flags. Beautiful.
Here we have the Bicentennial Committee of Cupertino. We have Nancy Steele in costume, John Steele signing the Constitution. Who do we have here?
Cupertino High School flag team. Behind them, you see the drill team.
That looks like Sam Bruni driving the car.
Great job. Okay, here we have the Bicentennial Committee, Cupertino. In the car we have Nancy Steele and her husband Don and Judy Burrill. They're dressed in period costumes from 1776.
Jane Reed, we have the elephant mascot. We urge all of you residents to register and vote.
Nice
costumes. Will they be able to register at City Hall this afternoon? Somebody going to be prepared for that?
And don't forget the debate on Sunday night. Here we have Bob Seitz.
Okay, here we see the Cupertino Santa Clara Republican Women's Federation. Republican Women Federated. They're passing out goodies to the crowd. They have the elephant mascot in the back of their parade float. They urge all residents to register to vote.
And Here we have, no, ladies and gentlemen, this is not the Cupertino City Council. This is actually the Palo Alto Elks Club.
Okay, there we see Bob Sage. He's in a 1940 antique Ford. He's the son of Cupertino's oldest living resident, Ann Baker Sage. She's 85 years old. He's riding with his daughter, Helene. They were all born in Cupertino.
Now we have the Cupertino Federated Women's Club. 29-year-old.
Okay, here we have the Palo Alto Elks clowns. These clowns work to raise funds. All those profits that they earn go to aid handicapped children. See the gorilla there in front of us?
Member of our club. Thank you.
And next we have the Union Church of Cupertino. Union Church is the oldest Protestant church in Cupertino. It's been here since 1884. An interdenominational Christian church. They invite everyone to attend to their services and activities.
It's a gorgeous day. We're out here celebrating the Cupertino Heritage Day Parade. See in front of us the Cupertino Union Church of Cupertino. That's an interdenominational Christian church.
Now we have
It's been around since 1884.
Polytechnical College. And they have their super
We have great weather out here today and a nice crowd enjoying all of the wonderful entrance with their floats, the bands. Okay, Union Church of Cupertino.
You all wonder what you're going to be driving about 10 years from now. You have just seen it.
By Cogswell Polytechnical College. It weighs 75 pounds. It's about 11 feet 5 inches long. And right behind that is the Cupertino Historical Society's. Okay, there's another shot of the chrome widget. That vehicle gets 451.49 miles per gallon. Okay. Back to the Cupertino Historical Society, we had the antique fire truck. That fire truck was donated by the Permanente Corporation to the Historical Society. It was being driven by Willis McIntyre. Right there you see a flatbed truck. It's being driven by Don Regnart. And on the back there they have a side hill plow, a corn planter, a cultivator, and that's all part of the history of Cupertino. All the heritage of Cupertino, and that name Regnart I'm sure you recognize as being a big part of the heritage of Cupertino.
And here we have the League of Women Voters of Cupertino Sunnyvale. We have a 19...
Okay, here we have the Deanne's Alliance. Their float is called the Flag Our Heritage. They're riding in an antique Jeep, 1943, Stars and Stripes Forever. This Jeep was actually in the first Cupertino parade in 1958, and it's been in every one since then.
Nancy, can they register at City Hall after the
Okay, here we see the League of Women Voters of Cupertino Sunnyvale in their Volkswagen. That's a 1928 Model A Ford Roadster truck. League of Women, they promote nonpartisan informational debates and ask you to please get out and vote.
We need an R in history, but it's okay.
And here we come.
League of Women Voters there.
Barbara Koppel, pay attention. Here comes the Monte Vista High School band. The marching band from Monte Vista, the Matadors.
Okay, here we have a Fremont Union High School District trustee.
Come on, you guys, out to Cupertino.
We'll be back in just a minute with more of the Heritage Day Parade activities and an interview with City Council member Barb Koppel. So please stay tuned.
Hello, I'm George Papard. Suppose you're eating with a friend and he suddenly begins to choke. Would you know what to do? If he can cough, leave him alone. Don't pound on his back. But if he can't cough, talk, or breathe, or if he only makes a high-pitched wheezing sound, you must take action. Here's what to do. Move behind your friend and put your hands like this, right between the navel and the rib cage. Then pull sharply in and up as many times as necessary. What's happening is this. The food is acting like a cork in a bottle. When you pull in the stomach, you force the trapped air to pop the cork out. You can even do this to yourself, using the back of a chair or your own fist. It's simple, but it can save lives. The Will Rogers Institute has a free booklet about this technique and the variations you should use for pregnant women. It also shows how to reduce the chances of choking, especially for children. For your free copy, write the Will Rogers Institute, White Plains, New York.
I'm Barbara Rogers, City Council member and chair of the Cupertino Bicentennial Commission. Thank you for watching Municipal Channel 53.
Okay, we're going to take a little break in the parade right now, and I'd like to introduce you to Barb Koppel. She's a Cupertino City Councilwoman. Barb, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a lovely day, perfect weather for this event. It's our second annual Cupertino Heritage Parade. I want to see it continue and hope that it will grow and become a full day of activities for the Cupertino residents.
Can you tell me maybe a little bit about the concept behind bringing back the parade?
Well, I'm a very big supporter of local community involvement. I always think the parade is definitely one way to do it. And these are mostly local civic groups and the schools and all. It's all local involvement, and then of course some of our elected officials. And to me it's important that living in a metropolitan area, you bring back the local feeling to your community. And so I'm a real strong believer in this and hope to see it continue.
So this is the first annual?
Well, it's the second annual. It did start out last year as the Cupertino Bicentennial Parade, and that really is what kicked this off. But we hope to see it continue as the Cupertino Heritage Parade because the Bicentennial is somewhat over. But it will be, the name of our parade will always be, I hope, Cupertino Heritage. And thanks Steve Dowling for that one.
Great name.
Yes, I think so too.
How long of a break was there in between the Pioneer Day Parade and the beginning of this?
I believe it was a full 10 years.
10 years.
So the only parade that Cupertino had was the Tournament of Bands. And another reason that this parade is so timely is because it is good practice for those bands. It's right after school starts, and this is a non-competitive parade, and so everybody is willing to get in it and just have a good time.
Okay.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's great. I'm glad you could join us.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. Okay, we were just talking with Barb Koppel, Cupertino City Councilwoman, and we're going to get back to the parade now. Okay. Oh, I'll tell her I'm hungry. No. Okay, let's see, where are we?
All right. Here comes Stevens Creek School. Let's see if they can give us a cheer louder than the Regnard. Oh, no competition, no competition.
Okay, right in front of us now you see participants from Regnart Elementary School. This is all representing Cupertino Union School District, where they say a community where public education is working.
And West Valley School. All right.
We have Stevens Creek School. There you see Regnart.
Competition on who's the loudest here? Great.
Regnart and Stevens Creek are both California distinguished schools. Coming up, we have West Valley, which is a nationally recognized school.
Let's have a big cheer for Cupertino Junior High.
There's Stevens Creek.
Local school.
And the John F. Kennedy.
These are all entrants from the Cupertino Union School District.
Jack Miller, my old neighbor. Are you that old now, Jack? Jack's our new principal.
Earlier today, I had a chance to talk to Recreational Supervisor Julia Lammy about the preparations of the Cupertino City floats.
Besides putting on the parade, we are also putting together a float entry from the city of Cupertino.
Can you tell me about that?
Sure. Our theme this year is called Then, Now, and Beyond. And what we're trying to do is, because this is a heritage-type parade today, we're trying to combine the elements of our past history, of our early farming days, to now, which we're into computer, high-tech type programs here in Cupertino, and that will take us into the future. So that's what we're celebrating today as the city.
I see, and you're using what type of way are you going to do this?
Okay, we have a historical flatbed coming today, which we have a lot of tools from the Historical Museum. We're putting on their farming tools. And then we have a new city flatbed truck, which represents today and the future. And on that, we'll have a robot and a computer and our larger-than-life computer screen and disc on the back of it. So it should be pretty neat.
That sounds great. And that was Julia Lammy, Recreational Supervisor for the City of Cupertino.
Okay, here we see a semi filled with the committee for Measure K. It's a Yes on K committee. There's Sharon Coleman. She's a Parks and Recreation Commissioner. They're all there to promote the bond issue that's good for the Cupertino that'll be on the November ballot.
Girl Scouts and Girl Guides
It's a really nice float.
Welcome.
Have all their supporters there behind them. This is Measure K for open space in Cupertino.
The Oktoberfest representatives being represented by the Cupertino Rotary Club. The Oktoberfest is being held
Right behind them, you'll see coming up the Girl Scout troop, and those are Girl Scout troops number 536 and 968. Girl Scouts International. They're representing the international flags of Girl Scouts and Girl Guides around the world. You see all the young girls carrying their flags there. Wonderfully represented.
Next weekend at Valco Village, the Oktoberfest, Cupertino Rotary.
Now we have Nancy Newton. Nancy Newton presently serves on the Fremont Union High
here we
School
see
District Board.
the car for the Cupertino Rotary, and they're promoting the Oktoberfest. That'll be held at Valco Village on October 1st and 2nd.
Nancy has a long record of community service and asks for your support and vote in the next November election.
Here we have the Saratoga Toastmasters.
Sounds like that'd be a great event. Get out to the Cupertino Oktoberfest.
Get over the fear of speaking.
Okay, there we see Nancy Newton. She's a Fremont Union High School District candidate. She's an incumbent candidate in the November 8th election for the Board of Education.
This is it. United States Air Force Recruiting Service.
Okay, you can see her
vehicle is a copy of the Thunderbird.
Okay, here we have the Saratoga Toastmasters. Join Toastmasters. Get over the fear of speaking.
Thank you for joining us. Oh, thank you.
Okay, Saratoga Toastmasters.
Let's take a break now, but when we come back, I'll have an interview with Steve Dowling, who's the director of the Parks and Recreation Department, and we'll have more of that Cupertino Heritage Day Parade. So please stay tuned.
Hey, Charlie, looks like you could use a shoulder to cry on.
There's one in here somewhere.
Vince, what are you doing?
Getting out of the crash dummy business. No way I'm ending up like Charlie there.
But, Vince, how else can we prove safety belts save lives?
We could buckle up.
How many times I gotta tell you, we're dummies. We don't wear safety belts.
Vince, Larry, your number's up.
Could save a life.
No, I'm with you, partner.
Yeah.
Vince, break a leg.
A regular comedian.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
I love hiking in the forest.
You know, Robin, forests are more than just great places to go hiking in.
They are?
Sure. Forests are homes to lots of different animals. We get wood from forests, and they help keep our air and water clean.
Gosh.
But our forests are threatened by development and people who don't treat them with respect.
Yeah.
To find out how you can help, write to Forests National Wildlife Federation,
Washington, D.C. 20036.
How'd you know that address?
A Frog Scout's always prepared.
Okay, we're taking another break in the parade here, and I wanted to introduce you to the director of our Parks and Recreation, and that's Steve Dowling. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Carol, for having me.
Great. You know what I wanted to ask you was, the idea for this parade, the actual name, where did that come from?
Actually, this parade, the Heritage Parade, has its roots in the Bicentennial Parade of last year, and before that, the Pioneer Day Parade, which was a Cupertino tradition for many years. The Pioneer Day Parade began as an outcropping of a program at Cupertino High School. Their mascot is the Pioneers, hence the Pioneer Day Parade. Heritage Parade was simply a brainstorming session between staff and council member Barbara Koppel about a theme or a title that would allow us flexibility, talk about Cupertino's past, but not lock us into just a specific theme. So we think Heritage Parade is general enough that we can have all kinds of entries.
And we're going to see this continue.
Absolutely. No matter how much it kills me, we're going to continue to do this every year.
Right, so you put a lot of hard work into getting this event
It's a lot of logistical coordination, tremendous amount of coordination, and obviously you need a lot of support from the Department of Public Works. Bob Botello and his crews are outstanding. The Sheriff Reserve officers, we couldn't do it without their support. They're the ones that keep the traffic and the pedestrians safe. And of course, the recreation staff, it's literally our responsibility to bring 700 participants, over 60 entries together at one place and get them lined up with some sort of order in a parade.
Did you see the community, really wanting to pitch in and make this a...
Yeah, and I think that we got started too late this year and the word didn't get out well enough, and I think that over the years this thing is going to build and grow, no doubt about it.
We're going to get back into the parade now and see what's happening.
Of the armed forces joining us in our festivities today.
Okay, what that is an F16 Mini Jet. No, it doesn't fly, it stays on the ground. It's a gas-powered vehicle. They use it for parades. It's a copy of the United States Air Force Thunderbird. They're representing the United States Air Force Recruiting Service. See him getting a helping hand there, get him going.
This truck
Stay out of his way.
by Los Alto Garbage Company.
Hey, aim high.
Transporting the jail that's used to raise
That's the United States Air Force Recruiting Service with their F16 Mini Jet.
Our honorable elected officials and citizens spend time and money to the benefit of CCS. Our jail is constructed by Terry Brown. Oh, that's my husband, the sheriff, and Sally Brennan, the prisoner. What a pair.
And they finally put Sally Brennan in jail, as they should have, for putting the
Okay, the Air Force is throwing out candy to the children. See him running in the streets there.
I notice you have John Gatto's name. Now all you got to do is catch him.
Okay, this is Cupertino Community Services flatbed truck with their jail on top. There's the sheriff. He's locked up the prisoner, and the prisoner just happens to be Sally Brennan, who's the executive director of Cupertino Community Services. They use that jail to raise funds, and they used it at their recent hoedown event, which was a wonderful success. And they lock up citizens or elected officials, and people donate money to get them out or keep them in, whichever one they like. The jail was constructed by Terry Brown. Real nice.
We now have the Lynbrook High School band and drill team.
Okay, right there you see a shot of the Lynbrook High School band with their drill team, the Valkyries. They're an 85-member band, and their director is Dane Teeter. They're getting ready to come right up to the reviewing stand now with their performance. We have a large crowd out here today celebrating Cupertino's heritage. The community's out getting involved and trying to recreate some of that community spirit and pride that they once had with the Pioneer Days Parade. There you can see an anxious face waiting for that band to show up.
Big round of applause.
Okay, Lynbrook High School. Okay, Lynbrook is, like I said earlier, one of 3 schools participating in the Heritage Day Parade. Here you can see their drill teams getting ready to come up in front of us here. Colorful costumes that they wear. Vikings marching band, 85-member band.
Soccer players from Region 35, the west side of Cupertino. The region has players and teams from 6 years old to 18. Their motto is, everybody plays. Congratulations, AYSO has performed wonders.
Okay, we see the beautiful flags.
Region 35, their other 700 players are on the field. Wonderful organization. We have now the Santa Clara County Central Fire District. Captain Hal Hendricks and firefighter.
Okay, coming into the picture right now, we see the American Youth Soccer Organization. Region 35 Soccer League. This is for the west side of Cupertino. This is for 6 years old through 18 years old, and their motto is everyone plays. Carrying their AYSO banner there. Don't look big enough to play soccer, do they?
Service organization founded by Mrs. Fanny Jonathan, Cupertino pioneer.
Okay, there you get a shot of the fire truck from the Santa Clara County Central Fire District. That's a 100-foot LaFrance ladder truck.
Now we have TOPS, Takeoff Pound Central Blade.
Get a nice wave from them.
It's a great organization.
Okay, here's the car driven by members of the Cupertino Circle of King's Daughters. They're a service philanthropy organization that was founded by Mrs. Fanny Jollyman. You may recognize that name from Jollyman Park. It was founded 101 years ago. They work to provide food and clothing, funds and visitations to the needy. Okay, right there we see TOPS going by in front of us, California 850 chapter. TOPS is Take Off Pounds Sensibly. They've had 40 years of successful weight loss. They like to lose it slowly and keep it off.
This is wonderful.
They're measuring the inches there.
They first started in 1985.
We'll be back in just a minute with the end of today's Heritage Day Parade, so just hang on there.
Tall ships, the great sailing vessels of the last century. Quiet waterfront communities and huge urban seaports. Shipwrecks, all are part of our great American heritage. A few of these great sailing ships and paddle boats remain to keep alive for us the lore and skills of another age. They have much to teach us, but like other valuable things from our past, they must be cared for and maintained. They teach us of the courage and adventure of the seagoing life that helped build this nation, and the self-reliance and perseverance that are part of the American character. Join us in keeping our maritime heritage alive and vibrant. Preserve and protect it for the enjoyment of all by supporting maritime preservation efforts in your community. Don't give up the ships.
Okay, could you tell me a little bit about the Cupertino Historical Society?
Yes, we're a group that likes to preserve as much of the old history of Cupertino as possible. And we don't have a museum now, but we will have one probably in a year. If people are interested in joining the Cupertino Historical Society, they can write to Cupertino Historical Society, P.O. Box 88, Cupertino 95015. And it costs $7.50 a person a year. And we'd welcome people who like to come to meetings. We have potlucks once a month with speakers, usually talking about local history.
That was Paula Quinterno, president of Cupertino's Historical Society.
right here you see the beginning of the Cupertino Towing Company. They have 3 huge vehicles in the parade today. They were originally started in 1965 by Craig Baker. They started out with 4 trucks. Now he has 7 trucks, and that company is the official towing company that serves Cupertino area for major insurance companies.
Many riders in the group
very
today
colorful,
are familiar
bright
faces
yellow.
in the community. All of the participants can be seen at many horse shows, parades, or just out pleasure riding. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Okay, here we have the Regnart Riders from Brookside Stables of Cupertino. Brookside, if you don't know, is located in the foothills, and it's owned and operated by Herb Regnart and Diane Fuji. Many of the riders are familiar faces in the community, and they have participated in local horse shows and at various other parades. There you see the Regnart Riders from the Brookside Stables of Cupertino.
Please come join us.
Thank you again for coming.
Okay, coming up behind them, fitting end to the parade. Get one last look there at the Regnart Riders from Brookside Stables.
Well, that marks the end of the first annual Cupertino Heritage Day Parade. I'm Carol Frausto, and I want to thank you very much for joining me today and joining Channel 53 as they covered the parade today. See you again next year.